If you like audiobooks and classic audio theater, then I would like to tell you about something I think you'll like. The RadioENT Theater Channel. It's theater of the mind, a window into the past, to the days before television, when Americans were entertained by a full schedule of mysteries, detectives, comedies, and dramas from the big national radio networks. Now, RadioENT recreates those days again with 12 new hours of classic radio programming daily, starting at midnight Eastern Time and repeated again at noon. Monday through Friday at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern, we feature theme programs. Mystery Monday features old classics like
The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
Are you willing to undertake a dangerous mission behind the enemy lines, knowing you may never return alive? This is Cloak and Dagger.
Green Hornet. He hunts the biggest of all game, public enemies who try to destroy our America.
and new drama from Jim French.
Board a light plane, you bail out, and then your worst fear happens.
I can't get the emergency chute either. No!
Or was it all a nightmare?
Detective Tuesdays features The Beat with police detectives and private eyes.
The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes.
Dick Powell as Private Detective Richard Rogue. In Rogue's Gallery.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. Black Museum, it's a repository of dead. Here in the grimy stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a photograph record, a postcard, a color photograph, a simple statuette, all are touched by murder.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sam Spade Detective Agency?
Me, sweetheart. I'll straighten everything out to your satisfaction, I trust, when I appear at the office with a highly stylized and rather charming saga of horse players and the world they live in. What else but the sure thing caper?
Western Wednesdays features stories of the Old West.
If you pull that trigger, this torch will start a fire you'll never be able to stop. An oil fire. It'll wipe out everything you've worked for.
Have gun. Will travel.
Frontier Gentlemen, here with an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territory.
And Gunsmoke.
Gunsmoke, the transcribed story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Keep your hands off me.
Disciple, you broke a promise I made to her. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet.
I told her nobody had ever hit her again. You interfering with my right to beat her when I want?
You're about to lose that reputation, Disciple. You're through on the prairie. Takes you and Disciple both. We'll say goodbye to this land. If I see you on it again, you'll rot. And it makes a man watchful. And a little lonely.
Drama Thursdays features the Playhouse for a taste of classic Hollywood.
Lux presents Hollywood, starring Maureen O'Hara, John Payne, and Edmund Gwenn in Miracle on 34th Street.
The Lux Radio Theater, starring Ingrid Bergman and Joseph Cotton in Notorious.
The Lux Radio Theater,
starring Frank Sinatra, Katherine Grayson, and Gene Kelly in Anchors Aweigh. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keighley.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen.
And Soundstage for something newer.
This is Cicely Tyson. 2 teenage schoolgirls are standing outside in the bitter cold.
I told you. That's him, Marie.
The girls stare rapturously at Paul Willis. These 2 young English girls are much more interested in his tall, graceful frame than they are in his academic prowess.
Ready, Lynn? We can't just follow him in there. Of course we can. Come along. Whatever happens, whatever Mr. Willis says to you, don't giggle. Hello, Mr. Willis.
Marie? Lily?
Oh, Mr. Willis. Oh, fancy meeting you here.
This is Vincent Price. Have you ever had one of those days where nothing goes right from the moment you first wake up? Len Doyle is having just such a day. First he overslept, then there was no hot water for his shower. He nicked himself shaving, popped a button on his shirt, lost a cufflink, and broke a shoelace. And that's only the beginning of our story.
On Comedy Friday, listen for the Comedy Zone for classic British humor.
Time to meet the men from the ministry.
The Random Jottings of Hinge and Bracket with Dr. Evadne Hinge and Dame Hilda Bracket.
This is, I'm sorry, I'll read that again, an extravaganza specially written for the wireless by several persons and featuring a number of performers.
Here is a sort of radio show which is beyond our ken. Among those taking part are Sir Hugh Gritt, the Cloakroom Attendants Poetry Lovers Circle, Murchison Thrip, Miss Rona Rancid.
She's gone off a bit.
And, of course, Mr. Kenneth Horne, who prefers to remain anonymous. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anonymous.
Radio Now and Then.
The time? Now. The place? Here. Let's go with the Kevin Curtis Show.
I am Professor Von Rotten. With my new shrink ray, I will shrink everyone down to the size of my toe. What? Courageous cat? Not so fast, Von Rotten. Not as long as I have my atomic tail. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I will shrink you down to the size of my toe. Foiled again. You cat. Whenever the world's in trouble, Courageous Cat will not fail. As long as I have my atomic tail. Meow!
Well, I don't know what radio's coming to, but I know where it's been.
And we have some variety daily with comedies, mysteries, and detectives. Sam Spade, Great Gildersleeve, and Inner Sanctum, and many, many more. Monday through Friday, you'll hear Jack Benny and Friends. Jack Benny has friends. Lots of friends.
Oh, hello, Mary. Hiya, Don.
Hello, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
There's Mary.
Jack went to the Bank of England to see the guarding of the change.
There's Don.
I hate to think that 2 cows had to die so I could hold up my pants.
There's Rochester.
You read my diary, didn't you?
Well, boss, I just...
Now, wait a minute, Rochester. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
And Dennis.
You know, Dennis, you're the first one to arrive.
I wanted to get here before the prices change.
Wise guy.
Does Jack Benny have friends?
Now, cut that out!
Listen to Jack Benny and Friends. Weekdays on REN, Storytime Radio. Great variety, all with restored sound. And full scheduling at www.radioent.com. And the CBS Radio News. We have it all. The full radio experience is yours, now, for free, at radioent.com. And click on Listen. Or go to iTunes Radio, then News Talk section, then click on the All-Time Oldies Radio Theater channel. Radio the way it was, the way it ought to be. Old Time Radio, powered by RadioENT.com.